What's up, guys? It's your girl Faith, and I am back with another video. I hope you guys are doing well and that you had a great week. It's been snowing here in Michigan. It's been a bit rough, very cold, but God has seen us through yet another week, and we're going to push through this season. I know it's been a while since I talked to you guys. 2025 was such a hectic year, and it wasn't in my plan to go as quiet as I did, but I was literally juggling so much between work, transitioning into being a graduate student, getting married, conferences, papers. It was just a lot, but it was a successful year. But it also came at the cost of me not being as interactive with you guys as I planned to. But I'm trying to get back into, my creative element, trying to get back into interacting with you guys on this platform and my other channel much more. So yeah, I thought to have my first video since the wedding video. If you haven't already checked that out, Lana and I got married, and so gonna have a link up there somewhere so you could check it out. But yeah, we're married. I am a married woman, she is a wife. Yeah, so much has happened since I last talked to you guys. But yeah, for those of you who have commented, who kept in touch with me on Instagram, as well as in the comments on YouTube, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your support and your continued support. It means a lot to me. But yeah, I thought to get back, into filming content with my first video talking about wedding planning. And I really wanted to share advice to couples who are planning their wedding based off of my experience planning my wedding. But yeah, if you see me looking down quite frequently as I go on through this video, it's because I have my laptop on my laps. So I'm literally looking through my notes because I have quite a number of things to go over. As some of you may already know, wedding planning can be quite hectic, so I figured to at least share as many pointers as I could think of that I'm hoping would be beneficial to you. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So to start, I really want to say congratulations to you two. I am so happy for you. Getting to this point where you are planning your wedding is no easy fit. Finding your person, a person who you want to say I do to, the person you want to spend the rest of your life with, it is no easy fit. It is a big thing. It is a milestone, in a person's life. So I'm so happy for you. And I pray that God blesses your union. I pray that He blesses it with happiness, with joy, with peace, and with prosperity. I pray that your home is filled with so much laughter. And I pray that this experience of wedding planning, though stressful, will still be enjoyable and something for you to remember. The first thing I would really say, and it's gonna trickle down into like everything else that I will share with you today, is a lot of these things are conversations. A lot of the expectations around planning, a lot of the details around planning are conversations that you should first and foremost have between the two of you, between bride and groom. There are things you need to discuss. If you are not in agreement over certain things, or the conversation has not been had and it trickles down to other people, it may potentially be a source of conflict, because it may, say for example, cause feelings of being disrespected or not included. And I think it's just very important to make sure both of you are on the same page about everything. So first point of advice, have conversations about these things with each other before you start sharing plans and details with other people. Point number one. Number two, one thing that I will strongly recommend having and discussing between the two of you is your budget and your plan for the wedding. And so even as I say plan for the wedding and budget, have conversations about where the money is coming from to contribute to the wedding. Is the expectation that you and your partner, or bride and groom, are going to pay for the wedding, or are the sole contributors to the wedding planning? If that is indeed the case, I want to start by saying you two have leverage. And there is reason why I am saying that. It's because wedding planning, as the saying goes, the wedding is not for the bride and groom, it is for the families. Weddings can be very stressful from that point, because as you go on, or as you will notice or maybe have observed from being part of other, like say wedding committees, or seeing like say a sibling get married or a friend get married, there are a lot of opinions that come with wedding. There's a lot of people trying to give input, and so sometimes that input also doesn't come with money. And so if you are the ones who are solely contributing to the planning of your wedding, that is your leverage. So it helps you also manage expectations from the two of you, for the two of you rather, to say, you know what, this is what we are able to afford, this is what we are able to contribute. And no one can really force anything on you if they're not putting their money where their mouth is. So that is your leverage. But yeah, budget. I think it's so important to come up with a budget, because it's going to help guide the other finer details about your wedding. Now, I should also mention that part of the stress, my tongue. Part of the stress that comes with weddings is unexpected events happening. Just things you don't foresee, things you never expected at all. They are bound to happen. And I think that's something worth preparing for mentally, to say, okay, something could happen, and it's important that you prepare to adjust accordingly. And it's important to discuss and be honest about how much money is actually available, how much money you see being able to contribute as the months go on to your wedding planning. Now, talking even about budget, it leads me to the second point or rather in this case, the third point of advice that I feel is important for you to think about and discuss together. You need to talk about what kind of wedding you're actually thinking about having. Is it going to be a traditional wedding? Are you planning to have a white wedding? Or are you planning to have a courthouse wedding? I think it's good for you to talk about those things, because again, thinking about budget, it helps you also plan for those things. These different things may cost money in one way or the other. So it's important to think about those things. And I also talking about money, I want to say one thing. Please do not get into any kind of loan. Do not get a loan for your wedding. It is best to even wait than to get a loan for your wedding. Because the truth of the matter is, when you get a loan, a lot of loans from banks come with you paying a certain interest. If you ask anybody who is paying for loans, be it school loans, any kind of loan, it can be a very stressful thing. It can be frustrating, especially because you're putting in a lot of money is going to be going to the loan. In the moment, it may feel good because you're thinking, my wedding, it needs to happen a certain way and whatnot. But in reality, you're going to get married. Everybody else is going to go back to life as they know it, past the wedding. You're going to be stuck with these loans. You don't want to start off your marriage in debt, So I would say, do not take out a loan for your wedding. It's best to do something simpler than to be extravagant for a wedding, and then be stuck in debt. So even thinking about the type of wedding you want to have, please bear that in mind. It's best to even wait to stay engaged for longer, maybe, so that you're able to save enough money to be able to afford what you want. Now, even as I say this, I also want to point out, weddings nowadays are so expensive. They are so expensive. And so even as I say, it's better to wait. I'm not trying to tell you to wait 10 years, because some of the weddings that you're seeing online literally cost money that the average person may have to wait 10 years in order to have that amount of money. That is the honest truth. but within reason. I think it's better to wait than to take out a loan that you may not be able to pay off in good time. So I think, yeah, just practice wisdom, or practice wise judgment in this kind of situation. I know, and then talking about even like social media and weddings nowadays, there are a lot of extravagant and there are a lot of beautiful weddings. A lot of weddings that you can tell to say, okay, money went here. A lot of money went here. And kudos to those who are able to afford those weddings. But if you're a person, to say, my bank account does not look like this kind of wedding, have a wedding that sticks within your means. Please do that. You will be happier for it. You don't have to live up to standards of Instagram or TikTok, or you don't have to do that. You don't have to be extravagant. Agree on details of your wedding that actually do not put you guys in debt. It will keep you guys happy. So in the long term. So yeah, budget. Talk about the type of wedding that you want to have. The fourth thing that I will mention is talk about the size of the wedding that you want to have. Like I said, your budget and the amount of money, especially in a situation where you are the sole contributors to the planning, to money wise for your wedding, you are the only ones contributing to that. That is your leverage. You get to dictate how many guests you're going to have. Cultures vary, but with a lot of African weddings, for example, African weddings tend to be big most times, and I think when you're not the one actually planning for the wedding, that you have no experience about the details or no exposure to the details around planning a wedding, when you attend a big wedding, it looks like, you may be naively under the impression that, yeah, this is cheap. It's not. It's really not. Say, for example, you have a caterer who charges, say, $100 per plate, and you plan to invite 300 people. That is about $30,000 in total, just for food alone. It may sound exaggerated, it may sound crazy, but I strongly advise you to start getting quotes from different caterers you're thinking about early on, because it is that expensive in a lot of cases. Decor is another one that is quite expensive. Lana and I got married in Zambia, and at the time I was thinking, you know what, things will be quite affordable based on my last recollection of weddings and the cost around it. Decor alone, I remember we got quotes for, say, church decor alone, and I'll have some pictures for you on the screen so that you can actually see what we wanted versus the price. Decor alone for the church, we got quotes for $7,000. For the reception, another $7,000. So it came to $14,000 on just decor. Mind you, this is not decor that we are keeping afterwards. A lot of these things are like hired out things just for the setup, just for the staging and everything. $14,000. I couldn't believe it. A wedding cake, $7,000. I said, huh? Yeah, it's that expensive, or you're going to have quotes that are that expensive, So I think, thinking back again to your budget, that is going to be the metric that you use for a lot of these things, and it's going to help you assess whether you want to have certain things or not, and have those conversations again. And thinking about your guest list, you want to talk about those things. Lana and I, for example, we started off innocently at, I think we started off at 300 guests. And I also want to say, even as I talk about cutting down your guest list, it's not an easy thing. Because I think sometimes when you think about like families, you may say like, oh, I have a big family, or I have a small family. But when you actually come down to getting the people on the list, the numbers, they start to look big very fast. And it's not easy sometimes to like think about, oh, this person, I'm just not going to invite them. Like assessing or gauging that, it's not an easy thing to do. But certain decisions do need to be made for the sake of your sanity. Again, if you're also the ones who are contributing the most, or contributing solely to your wedding, it's just, you're going to have to make those kind of tough decisions. The other way maybe that you can think about, I mean, like, it helps to have connections through, like, say, family. Like if you have a good caterer in your family, you get to have those kinds of like potential discounts or things like that. Hey guys, so this is Editing Faith speaking. And I just realized that there are some things that I forgot to mention to you. One of the things that I would like to emphasize or remind you of is DIY projects. I strongly recommend you take up some DIY projects, especially if you're trying to cut costs on certain things while still being able to maintain a certain standard. So you could also like employ the help of family, friends to help you with certain details that you may want. And if there are certain things that you feel like you could really take up yourself that you don't need the help of someone else doing, definitely do that. One of those things is your invitations. Lana and I opted to do soft copy invitations, or using a site. We use the site With Joy. Another site that I know some people tend to use is Zola, but we preferred With Joy because it just had more options, and I did a lot of the editing and including the details that I wanted, as opposed to having like print out invitation cards. And it worked really well for us because we were also able to have our gift registry on the site. So yeah, it's just thinking about things like that could help you, as well as even like the decor elements. You can DIY certain things. I'm so glad one of my aunts really came through with helping set up the decor for the wedding. She did a lot of that, which helped cheapen the cost of certain things, and just buying certain elements that you want to be incorporated into your wedding setup and organizing that, for yourself, I think can really cut costs, because a lot of these decor companies, I personally feel like they're charging really ridiculously high prices for the things that they have to offer. So even as I talk about like getting quotes and things of that sort, I think it's so important for you to assess and compare. Definitely give yourselves ample time to actually plan your wedding, such that you're able to make those comparisons and you're not rushing everything. And in all this, again, like even talking about guest number or size of the wedding, it's so important to think about all these different aspects that you may be wanting to contribute to the wedding, and figure out what your trade-offs would be. Would you want fewer people and more money being funneled into the decor, the setup, the staging, the different elements of your wedding? Or do you want to maintain a bigger size and have less money going towards those particular details? Unfortunately, for the average person, there are some trade-offs that you may have to make. So yeah, and a lot of the things that I'm talking about in this video are really tailored to your average, regular, everyday person. And when I say that, I mean in terms of income. Most people are not making six-figure salaries, and even in terms of saving, most of the times people are saving towards other things as well. It's not just primarily the one wedding day. So yeah, I just want to make that known so that even as I'm talking about these things, you actually know who this message is tailored to and why I am saying certain things. But yeah, DIY stuff, it really came through for us. So I highly recommend. Okay, let's get back to the video. But just speaking as say you don't have those types of connections, it can be extremely expensive. So I would say discuss between the two of you how many guests you're going to have and be realistic about it. I think if say like you envisioned having a really big wedding, for example, a big guest group, don't be adamant about it in such a way that you're being unrealistic when you look at what you can actually afford. Manage and discuss your guest list and let those be conversations that you have even with family. I think sometimes like parents, it's a big event. Some parents want to invite everybody, I think it's so important to have that kind of conversation and be honest enough, be confident enough to have those conversations with your family and honestly pray on it. Have those conversations with your parents and be fair as well to say, oh, this is what we're able to afford. Yeah, this is how things should go. And like I said, when you have leverage, you could also, you don't have to be too rigid about it in the sense of like, say, if a parent says, you know what, I want to contribute, I really want this person to come and I want to contribute money for them to come, I'll pay. Don't be like, oh no, we are the ones who get to decide. Recognize as well, and as much as I think there are for sure parents who want to bulldoze the planning of the wedding, but in a situation where your parent is being respectful as well of your situation and they're saying, you know what, I'm going to pay so that you don't have to worry about this, don't be stubborn. That is your parent at the same time. It's a huge celebration for a lot of parents to see their child do things the right way. Don't deny them that. I don't think that's fair. So yeah, do it within reason. You have that leverage, but also don't abuse it to the point where your parents are so restricted that it also affects how they celebrate you on that day. The next thing you want to also discuss is location. Where do you guys want to have your wedding? And I will say this, when Lano and I, just got engaged, I did not have a good outline of what kind of like wedding I wanted and whatnot. And so it was a discussion point for us to say like, okay, what do we visualize? And he gave me a lot of like freedom in terms of like the details and whatnot. He was fine with that. And I was like, okay. But I really didn't know where to start from. So Pinterest came in clutch for me, because I had to sit down with it and say, okay, like what kind of ideas, what kind of things do I want? And we wanted to do an outdoor wedding completely. But finding the space that could hold the number of guests that we initially had was a challenge. But so we eventually like resorted to having an outdoor church service and then do an indoor reception, because having like space for both the church service and all that decor for the reception at the same time, it was just a challenge to find like land that we're really happy with. Have a conversation about those kinds of details. What kind of thing do you want? Are you both happy with that? And also location in the context of like say town or country. In the case of like say like for us, we decided we wanted to have our wedding in Zambia. It just worked out best for us to do. The other things are more like the actual details around the wedding. So another thing is like bridal party. Talk about who you actually want to have on your bridal party. Share that information. Don't also get into this like habit of wanting to overpower the other one's decisions. Give your partner room as well. Give each other room to think about like what kind of people, which kind of people they want to have as their bridal party. And talk about that, you know. Yeah, talk about like attire you're thinking about, and that will also line up with the theme of your wedding. So like say for me, the first thing that I thought about was actually the attire for my bridesmaids. That was the first thing that I wanted to figure out because I felt like it was a less stressful thing for me to think about. So yeah, thought about what color I want my bridesmaids to wear and whatnot. And I presented that idea to Lano, and it also helped him like figure out, okay, he knew like say he wanted his groomsmen to wear navy blue. And so it helped like think about whether the colors would complement each other. And so yeah, we planned around that and it worked for us. So I would say like say for the bridesmaids dresses, I strongly recommend checking out Azazi. We got our dresses from azazi.com. I was so happy with just like the quality, the material. It was good. Shipping, everything was good. And you have the option to be able to like try out for free. Try out the dresses beforehand so you can actually like feel and whatnot. Check out whether you like them and all before you have your bridesmaids like order them. Also, that's another thing. Discussing where the charge or who the charge falls on for like say the bridal party attire. You need to discuss that. Are the bridal party going to contribute to their attires? Are they going to pay completely for their attires? Is that charge going to come on you as the bride and groom? How do you navigate that? And even thinking about a bridal party, you need to discuss whether you actually want a bridal party or not. So yeah, just have open conversation about those things. For wedding colors, wedding theme, wedding details, honestly, strongly recommend Pinterest. Pinterest is your friend. Make a Pinterest board that you share ideas about. And I think sometimes it's very easy to go crazy on Pinterest and add all these different details, because once you add something and you stick with it, you may see another thing that you want to add. Sit down together and filter out what actually like is going to work for you. Come up with a cohesive theme about how you want things to go. So yeah, strongly recommend using Pinterest for that. The other thing in terms of like wedding planning, and I guess like discussing details past like you and your partner, so past the bride and groom, and sharing those details with other people, like say between the families. I think it's also important for you both to discuss whether you want a wedding planning committee. Wedding planning committees are things that I often heard about, like growing up back home. Whenever the conversation about weddings would come about, wedding planning committees or kitchen party committees was something that people would talk about pretty often. And I think there's pros and cons to wedding planning committees. I think one of the pros about it is oftentimes I hear like with wedding planning committees, people would help contribute to, be it monetarily, be it like labor wise, they would help contribute to the details of your wedding and or kitchen party. But some of the cons that come with wedding planning committees is you have so many opinions. You have so many opinions from people. And especially when you are not the final voice over what happens for your wedding or the planning of your wedding, especially in a situation where the money isn't solely coming from the two of you. There are a lot of opinions that may come with wedding planning committees. Some people may feel like, oh, I think you should do this way, or why are you being extravagant, or why are you being... It's just a lot of opinions. And so even when you are deciding on whether or not you want to have a wedding planning committee, I think it's good for you to weigh out both the pros and the cons and then go from there. I would say also get advice from be it like your parent, on say if you want to do a wedding planning committee, which people to add to your wedding planning committee, especially if you have that kind of dynamic with a parent. They may be helpful to you, and they may know and be closer to some of your family members in such a way that they may know who to add, to your committee. And it also doesn't hurt to have a really close friend, like who you can count on, be part of the committee. That falls on both the woman and the man. It doesn't hurt to do that, because they could really be helpful, especially if you plan to have like a maid of honor or a matron of honor or a best man. It comes in clutch. They come in clutch for these kinds of dynamics, because they can also help speak for you or vouch for you or help you have what you want for your day. Decide also on who you want as a minister for your wedding. I think it's important to talk about that. Let it be a decision that you guys make. Oftentimes, the minister doesn't only have like a part to play on the wedding itself, on the actual day, but they also have a role to play in terms of the counseling that comes prior to your wedding and maybe even after. So coming together to decide on who exactly you want to be your minister for your wedding is important. And I strongly recommend you not just having a random person be your minister. It is a very nice experience to have someone who has known you, someone who you have a certain respect or regard for, someone whose counsel you actually trust. There are different types of pastors within the church. Some pastors, for example, hold very traditional beliefs around marriage. And when I say very traditional beliefs, I'm more so speaking within the context of culture. Some Christian pastors are very like cultural in that sense. And so if the two of you are like hold traditional beliefs or very like cultural beliefs, I think it's important for you to also decide on a minister who believes in the same things you believe in, if that makes sense. Which again points to the fact that deciding on who counsels you is a very intentional thing. You shouldn't just pick any random person to do that. Otherwise, you may have a very unpleasant counseling experience. So yeah, be intentional with deciding on who the minister is and make that a joint decision. The other thing that I would say is that weddings are conventionally thought to be the bride's day. And it is a very special moment for the bride. But I also want to say that it is a special moment for the groom as well. I think it's important for brides, as you are listening to this, and grooms as well, to ensure that you're actually providing room and space for your partner to feel comfortable enough to share what their opinions are or the things that they would like to have at their wedding. I think it's so important to make for the wedding planning experience to not be something that ends up hurting your relationship, in that you are so fixated on this wedding, even if it's not, say, extravagant. It could be something intimate, but you're so focused on the details of how you want certain things to be that you completely neglect the opinions of your partner. Bear in mind that a wedding is just the one day. You are preparing for a marriage. A marriage requires an equal partnership for it to succeed, for it to work, for you to be happy with each other. Don't allow the desires around a wedding day to affect a marriage lifetime, if that makes sense. So yeah, I would say that make sure that you and your partner, both of you, are talking to each other and you're still being respectful of each other's opinions and each other's takes. I don't know about you guys, but growing up, I watched a number of like movies and shows like Say Yes to the Dress, as well as a few other shows around wedding planning, who's like title of, I forget. I think there was one like whose wedding is it anyway or something like that. I remember watching shows as well as movies that had to do with weddings, and a consistent theme of the bride and the groom being almost at the brink of breaking up. It was always there. It was a consistent thing. And I always had it at the back of my mind to say, like, oh my goodness, wedding planning is something that could make or break a relationship. But I told myself, this is not what I want. I don't want things to get to this point ever. It doesn't make sense. If you're planning for a marriage, wedding planning shouldn't be something that is a make or break situation. It's just an event at the end of the day. The true significant part of a wedding really is the moment where you're in your marriage blessing. That is the most important part of your wedding. If that part goes well, that's it. All you need really is just God to bless your wedding. You exchange your vows. You go before God, you exchange your vows to each other, and God blesses the wedding. And you receive that, confirmation by your minister. That is the most important aspect of your wedding. That is the thing that you're thinking about to say, okay, this is what makes us married. And you sign your certificates and you do all that. That's the most important part. Don't get so hung up on the other aspects of a wedding that it negatively impacts your relationship. Yeah. So that's what I would say. It is not normal, honestly. I learned that from Lano and I's experience planning our wedding. We never argued, not once, about anything, because we communicated. And I never once felt like he was my enemy at any point. I felt he was my person throughout all the wedding stress, all the unforeseen events. He was my safe space. He was that person I could go to and be like, our wedding, this is really stressful. We were that for each other. And I strongly recommend that you communicate, because even in that wedding planning and all that, it made us better, as a couple. It made us stronger, and it made me love him even more than I did, because of how we just worked together, to have our day. And yeah, so be that anchor for your person. Don't let it get to your heads. I couldn't emphasize that enough. Which really leads me to my last point. Commit the wedding planning to God. Commit it in prayer. Pray about this process. Pray about the unforeseen things that will likely occur. Pray about everything. Pray about your relationship. Pray about your marriage. Bear in mind that the devil is not happy at you getting married. And sadly, there are people who may not rejoice in your union. Pray for them, and also pray that God gives you the strength and He drives this wedding planning season. Because at the end of the day, God is the one who created marriage. And pray that He blesses the two of you as you go through this part. There are so many things that may happen through the planning because, again, the devil is not happy. But we thank God He is defeated, and God will bless you. He will be with you. He will help you navigate through this time. But yeah, it is just one event. Do not get yourself into debt for it. Do not kill yourself, stressing so much over this one day. I mean that when I say that. It is just one event. But your marriage is to last a lifetime. So yeah, please don't stress each other out for it or yourselves. Feel free to reach out to me on my Instagram or share in the comment section. Let me know what you guys are thinking about. Let me know what you think about this video. I'm so happy to interact with you. But again, congratulations on your wedding. Congratulations, you guys are getting married it's something to be excited about. But yeah, united front. Remember that. Let God lead the way. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.